The Global Caregivers Network presents the first annual Global Male Caregivers Summit coming your way April 13th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register on Eventbrite to hear from the most amazing and powerfully inspiring men as they share caregiving from the male perspective. Grab your ticket today and we'll see you there.
Thank you for that invitation. And I thank our previous speakers too in sharing their story, because it's really significant that we have the opportunity to share what we have gone through to help other people. And I myself, in my journey with Alzheimer's with my wife, Nancy, became very aware of how much advocacy and sharing was important. Nancy was diagnosed, as Sherelle said, in 2014. She was only 62 years old. And although her mother died of Alzheimer's in her mid-80s, we had no idea that Alzheimer's was going to strike Nancy at an early age. And as the youngest sister of four, she was the earliest one to get this disease. And so when that happened, she was actually diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. MCI is the precursor of Alzheimer's. And that was a shock to us to hear that MCI is a disability and leads on to Alzheimer's, which is a terminal disease. There is no cure currently, but yet the quality of life that can come from a diagnosis is a shaken opportunity so that we rearrange our priorities. So when her diagnosis came forth, I retired because I recognized the fact that time was more important, and time together as caregiving was something that I wanted to share and make sure that Nancy was being taken care of, and we got to create as many memories as possible in the time we had. Because unfortunately, early onset diagnosis has a typical range of 4 to 8 years. And so that was rather important to learn as we again set our priorities. So we became strong advocates to share the information of what this disease was like. And Nancy, I give her a lot of credit. She appeared on radio shows, TV interviews with me, and actually attended many support groups as a team member. And so when I talk about caregiving, I talk about it from the perspective that it's not a one-way street. That I learned early on that caregiving should really become retitled as care partnering. And as care partners, we get to share how we help each other through this journey. Even though it's a terminal disease, it's one where she could still cooperate and participate and help make decisions as best she can as we were going through this journey itself. Of course, we never know how long that journey is going to last. Well, our journey lasted 7 years. And so during that 7 years, we participated, as I said, in couples support groups. We participated in activities that enhanced her opportunities for engaging with people socially, very important, and eating well, and also traveling. And we found an opportunity that Nancy loved to do, and that was cruising. Well, we found a group that actually has dementia-friendly cruising opportunities through Elite Travel and Cruising. And this group is actually one that I continue to participate in after Nancy has left me. And so I have been able to share a lot of support through these dementia-friendly cruises and creating memories for other families that they can treasure. So I would love to be able to talk more about that, but I wanted to touch upon some things that my fellow caregivers have talked about, and that is caregiving is not something that I call not DIY. And we hear that doing it yourself being very much in vogue with the literature, with TV, with YouTube videos. But the important thing in caregiving is to ask for help. And I've heard Dr. George talk about not doing it alone. Well, we are here to help each other. And I have to say, if you are involved in caregiving, do not look to do it your own. Do not DIY this experience because you are going to need the support necessary for helping yourself. And that self care, again, resonates in all of the speakers to where we must take care of ourselves in order to help the person we're taking care of, our loved one, at that higher quality rate. And so we've heard about massage, we've heard about counseling, which I myself participated in numerous rounds with different counselors in dealing with the loss of Nancy's functionality through her disease, in dealing with the hardships and the stresses that we are undergoing as caregivers. And some of this, I call, and it's called in the literature, ambiguous grieving. Well, ambiguous grieving is a term that I learned early on. And I recognize this because I felt stresses every time Nancy lost the ability to do something functional. When she lost some of that cognitive ability that escapes every time this disease progresses in the brain. And that ambiguous grief taught me to how do you deal with that? Because I sought counseling to help reorganize and reset my mind to the prioritized and patience level that was necessary in taking care of her. Well, her disease progressed to where the stresses on me were so great that I had to make the tough decision of placing her into a memory care facility. And I'll tell you, that was one of the hardest decisions of our 47-year marriage until COVID struck. And that's a whole different venture. But putting her in self care in her memory care facility enhanced not only my self care, but hers, because she was now with people who supported what she needed, wasn't me, her 24/7 caregiver, who she no longer recognized as her husband, but that nice man who brought her ice cream every day in her memory care facility. And so that was great until COVID struck. And COVID created isolation that truly does lead to a loss of life. And 28 weeks, I was not able to see my wife, Nancy. And then COVID struck her facility to where she was moved into a nursing home and died 75 days later. Well, just before her passing, I found a new purpose in life. And that purpose was in conjunction with my sons, Mark and Craig, where we formed a foundation. And I know that George has established a foundation in his mother's honor. Well, we honored Nancy's life. She was a lifelong librarian who loved to read, loved books, and loved reading to kids. And so we created the Nana's Books Foundation. She loved the term Nana. Was very, very proud for her to be called Nana. And so this Nana's Books Foundation now gives books on Alzheimer's, dementia, and other disabilities to Title I schools and their local public library. This foundation vets the books, makes them grade appropriate, and be able and distributes these. Well, in 3 years, our foundation has distributed 12,555 books to 16 Title I schools, all through 8 states. And we are in a process now of expanding our foundation to vet more books. So here's an opportunity for volunteers to help us who love to read books to make sure that the books we're putting in kids' hands are appropriate to them and help them not only with education about Alzheimer's, dementia, and disabilities, but also to talk about the literacy piece that's so important in pre-K to grade 3. And through this, we're teaching kindness, compassion, 2 values that we as caregivers endorse and really work toward sharing. It's that love that we've heard talked about from Keith in his religious perspective and the many ventures he did there. It's the love George had for his mom. It's just the opportunity here of making sure that we as caregivers don't do it alone. We help other people who are experiencing this through the education and resources that exist in our community. And that's part of what I do to make this happen. If you are interested in joining the Nana's Books Foundation in any way, we're available on nanasbooks.org and an email address. For those of you interested in reaching out to me personally, it would be through nanasbooks21@gmail.com. And so we're looking for volunteers. We're actually looking for corporate sponsors who can actually, with their donation, bring and identify Title I schools in any vicinity that they operate in and help in the education and literacy that is needed for our future caregivers. And so, Sherelle, I appreciate this opportunity. I hope that sharing this has been helpful and look forward to being able to help people in the future.
The Global Caregivers Network presents the first annual Global Male Caregivers Summit coming your way April 13th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register on Eventbrite to hear from the most amazing and powerfully inspiring men as they share caregiving from the male perspective. Grab your ticket today and we'll see you there.